Hey guys, and welcome back to Middle Earth Monday. In today's video, we are talking about Gildor, an awesome elf character who, if you've only seen the movies, you have no idea who he is. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll understand that a little bit more. We're going to get some painting done on him and then show you the custom scenario that he has played in, which is called Shortcuts Make Long Delays. Before I get into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone out there that's supporting this new channel, either by watching the videos, liking, commenting, and making sure you're subscribed. Those three things cost you absolutely nothing, but they make a huge difference as to how many people see these videos and how quickly the channel grows. So it'd be amazing if you could help out with that. If you want to help the channel, support the channel even further, there's of course the Patreon linked down below. There's a million reasons to be involved with the Patreon. We get kind of custom videos every single week. You get access to the podcast, you get access to a private Discord server where you can hang out with me on a daily basis, talk about your hobby, take part in all different events we have over there. You have painting competitions, community showcases. It's an awesome community of over 500 people over there who like to hang out, talk hobby, and are very supportive. And we do monthly giveaways for anyone that supports me on Patreon. This month's monthly giveaway is a 1,000 Suns army box set. So if you ever wanted to dive in with a 1,000 Suns army or just bolster an existing one, that box will be given away to one lucky patron at the end of this month. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get this scenario underway. Okay, so this is Gildor. He's a beautiful model. He's a little bit more restrained than most models. He's in quite a nice, like simplistic pose, drawing his sword. Obviously I got him sprayed silver and grey seer as per the usual thing of prepping models for painting. And then we just went through the normal thing. I am thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, enjoying painting Lord of the Rings miniatures again. It's been so long since I've spent any real time painting them. And it's just so quick. You get really nice results without having to spend days and days on models and units and armies because they're just simple. Gildor has, you know, boots, and then he has his like little skirt dress thingy and a cloak and a sword and a face, and that's it. There's no million jingly jangly bits hanging off his belt, and he doesn't not standing on a pile of skulls, and you know, it's so much fun to spend. You know, you could spend 2-3 hours and then you would have a really nice model painted up. A couple hours you could have a nice squad painted up for Lord of the Rings. And I'm genuinely looking forward to jumping kind of 2 years into the future after this kind of campaign has moved forward and seeing the collection of Lord of the Rings miniatures that I've gotten my hands on, well, the ones I already own, and see them being painted up finally. It's going to be really fun. I am very excited to go on the journey with you guys. Even just to see all the different versions of the Fellowship painted up is going to be super nice. So as you can see, I just threw a load of standard base coats using contrast on this guy. The only standard colors we're using is Lead Belcher and Retributor Armor Gold for the sword. For the blade, obviously the hilt, a bunch of the scabbard, his nice silver or gold belt. And then I'm going to wash the entire model with a nice coat of Seraphim Sepia. It's going to warm it all down, give it a nice kind of earthy tone to the entire piece, and give us a really nice place to start layering up from. For Lord of the Rings miniatures, I'm going to keep them all very simple as goes their bases. It's just going to be a coat of dark earth texture paste from AK Interactive. And then it's a dry brush of Rise of Rust, a dry brush of Bone, rim the base black, and then grass tufts or flock, whichever one you prefer, applied onto the base. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to go kind of different basing styles for loads of different projects. Like if I get around to doing Moria Goblins, when I get around to do Moria Goblins and Dwarves, they'll be in like greys, although I can't see myself doing Dwarves anytime soon because they don't participate in the story at all. But the Moria Goblins part for the Mines of Moria section will all have grey bases. The Fellowship for inside of there are on grey bases. So yeah, that's going to be good. And then obviously when I get to the Ammon Hen section, maybe I'll want to base up those models with like basically the same earth as you're seeing on the base now, but maybe little kind of autumn leaves on the base as well, just to help them blend in with that scene and scenario. It's so exciting. Can't wait to see it. Obviously I'm taking my time layering this guy up, adding some nice tones like green tunic. Tunic is probably the correct word, not a little dressy thing. It's a tunic. He's obviously got a nice grey cloak. He's got a little bit of blue showing through, really grey blue style underneath that. And when he's totally finished, he does like blend into the scenario and into the scenes. And he just looks like he belongs. So I was quite keen to see him and play with him in the scenario. Like I said, we're nearly finished painting this guy, and when he is fully painted, I am going to jump straight into the scenario. It's not a very long scenario. That's why I'm mixing the painting video of Gildor with the scenario, because I don't think the scenario stands up as a video by itself. So hopefully attaching it to this will make it interesting and enjoyable to watch. Next week's video is, of course, the Buckleberry Ferry scenario, which means I'm going to have to spend some time and effort building the actual ferry and the dock and a little bit of kind of like river frontage. Not a huge amount. I'm not going to build an entire board for that. I'm not going to do like a 22 kilo resin pour for the biggest Warhammer board that the internet has ever seen or anything like that. It's going to be a fairly simple scenery piece, but very much more achievable for anyone else following along. So I'm excited to do that. I've kind of got an idea of what it looks like in my head, and hopefully you guys are excited to see and follow along with that, and then obviously see our brave hobbits rush towards Buckleberry Ferry while being harassed and chased by some black riders on their horses. So it's going to be pretty cool. We're coming up to the final stages of Gildor now. A bit of Catachan flesh to highlight his brown leather boots, the scabbard of his sword, and then obviously we're going to highlight the metallic sections, and then we're going to add some grass tufts to this guy. Blonde hair I'm actually getting a little bit better with. I'm using Xandri Dust and Morghast Bone a lot these days to layer them up, and there is quite a lot of characters in Lord of the Rings franchise which do have that kind of blonde coloured hair. Legolas, of course, will have to be painted over and over again. There's probably about 10 different versions of him that need to be painted. So doing them all for this and with this hair tone will really help me out. So the last steps, like I said before we jump into the game, is adding some grass tufts to the model. I've just chosen some small, short, green grass tufts. And then I actually added some green flock to the base as well, just to have this guy properly look like he's kind of hunting through the wilds and keeping out of sight and out of mind from the Ringwraiths while he tries to reach, save, and protect the hobbits. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so these are the participants in today's scenario. We do have Frodo, Sam, and Pippin, who are, of course, traveling through the scary woods. We have the new character that we just painted up, Gildor, ready to help them out in the woods and defend them from the 3 Ringwraiths, which are kind of patrolling the scenario and trying to hunt down the Ringbearer, claim the ring, kill Frodo, bring it back to Mordor, which would be a very bad thing for everyone in Middle-earth. So that is what we have going on. I have Mordor dice and I have the ring dice. So all the good guys will roll the gold dice, the bad guys will roll the red dice. If any dice rolled are really required, there is the potential that no one will catch anyone in this scenario, and the hobbits will just get to skulk off the board to safety without any of the Ringwraiths being the wiser. So this has the potential to not be an incredibly interesting scenario, but it is, of course, the next scenario in the book. Speaking of the scenario, this is it. It is called Shortcuts Make Long Delays. Frodo and his companions have departed the Shire unaware of the dangers they are actually in. Merry has gone ahead to prepare Crick Hollow and meet Frodo later on, leaving the others to make their way towards Buckleberry Ferry. As they walk the forest paths, the hobbits encounter a rider in black and instinctively hide from it. After feeling a sense of dread wash over them. So basically the scene where it says get off the road, that's where they see the rider, that's where they're very scared. Obviously that's after the Farmer Maggot situation. And then, this is the situation that happens. So having evaded the mysterious black rider, hobbits continue on their way through the woodlands of the Shire. Along one of the many forest paths, they encounter a group of elves led by Gildor, which is obviously the main kind of protagonist of this particular story. The elves provide the hobbits with some much needed rest, food, and advice on the black riders they have encountered. For Frodo and his companions continue on their way. As the hobbits leave the company of Gildor and the elves to make their way through the forests, they make sure to heed Gandalf's words and stay off the road as much as possible. Yet even as night begins to fall, the hobbits begin to feel fear once more seeping in. They cannot shake the feeling of dread that the mysterious riders in black are not far away and constantly a threat to them. In truth, the riders in black are far closer than Frodo and his companions realize, constantly stalking the paths of the forest in their search for the one who carries the ring. Should the Nazgul's search prove fruitful and they find the Baggins that carry their master's prize, they will not hesitate to kill them and take the ring for Sauron. So that is the scenario itself, which I don't think was in focus at all there, but anyway, I've read it out. So we have an interesting layout for the board, which is a hedge that runs down the middle of it that the hobbits are basically trying to walk along to keep their bearings. We have Ringwraiths coming in from left, up and down, so north, south, west. On the east side board, we have Gildor, which is departed here. And the scenario basically has the hobbits trying to sneak through the trees and get to Gildor and off the board before any of these Ringwraiths get their grubby mitts on these hobbits. Now remember, at this point in the story, the hobbits have never fought anyone in their entire lives. They're not the kind of brave adventurers that they are by the end of the third movie. So if even a single Ringwraith comes in contact with a hobbit, they're probably going to get cut to pieces, and that's very, very bad. There is a couple of extra kind of rules that exist inside of this. So the Ringwraiths follow the rules for centuries as detailed in the Middle-earth rulebook, which basically means you roll a dice at the beginning of each turn for each one to see how they act. They don't have line of sight. They don't know where the hobbits are. They're kind of randomly searching, which is very cool. Lost in the woods, so basically the hobbits have to take courage tests every turn. So it's pretty cool. The Nazgûl have a weird cry, which doesn't really make any sense and doesn't really make any difference, so we will kind of ignore that. But yeah, so let's get set up on the board and see what's what. Okay, so we have our 3 hobbits deployed kind of roughly in the middle of the board against that hedge. And unfortunately, we do have our Ringwraiths skulking in from all sides. And one across there. And of course, you have the epic and glorious Gildor. So the camera's having a problem focusing on everything going on at the table, which is kind of irritating. There's our glorious Gildor. And yeah, we're basically going to start rolling off for priority. This is the table that I have set up, which is of course the kind of correct table. We've got our hedge running down the middle. We have as much kind of trees and coverage as possible. The hobbits get an extra rule for basically being stalkers. So unless they have, if they're even partially hidden, then they can't be seen, because obviously hobbits are quite good at hiding. So they can use all the kind of brush and bushes and trees to their advantage to stay out of line of sight of the Nazgûl and stay hidden. So that is the kind of goal of the situation. So let's start rolling dice and getting ourselves started. So let's roll for priority. The gold guys, which is of course the glorious Ringbearers, managed to steal priority turn 1, which is kind of a very good thing for them. So let's see them kind of scurry along towards Gildor. So of course, hobbits only have a measly move of 4 inches, so they're going to start making their way across the board here. And Gildor is an elf, so we're going to move him 8 inches, and he is going to start moving his way through the trees in order to try and link up with the hobbits and defend them from the wraiths. And then with the wraiths, we do have to roll what their sentry kind of statistic is. So he rolled a 6, so this Ringwraith actually gets to act as per normal. Gets a 6-inch move, so we'll put him flying in a kind of accurate direction as he flies over there, which is very dangerous. I'm going to very quickly show you the table so we can see what it is. So this is our sentry table. So in a 1, they're distracted, they don't move. 2 to 3, they hit a noise elsewhere, and they kind of move away from what's going on. About half their movement. The sentry is suspicious, and then basically they move towards the bad guys, but only half value. And a 6, they is convinced they spotted something looking in the dark, so that they can run forward and things. So basically, I'm looking for kind of higher than a 3+ at least on these guys. So this fella, he gets a 3, so he's kind of distracted. So he's going to bimble off at kind of half movement over there, and then the last Ringwraith over on this board edge. Same thing, he's gonna kind of bimble 3 inches this way, which is a bit disappointing. In this particular scenario, I'm not really sure the mechanics of it as to how the Ringwraiths are ever supposed to catch these guys, but we'll go through and see what happens. Okay, turn 2, let's roll for priority. So the Wraiths manages to go first, so we're gonna go straight into this guy again, activate his sentry mode. He gets a 2, once again he bimbles 3 inches. kind of not in the direction of what's going on. Sentry mode for Ringwraith number 2. He shall roll. He managed to get a 4, so he moves half distance towards the enemy. And this beautiful Ringwraith here, who rolls a 4, so once again, half distance over to there. So not particularly worrisome. And we'll go over to the Hobbits now, who will move 4 inches this way, and Gildor, which will get to go 8 inches. So he has already nearly linked up with the Hobbits, which is a very good news for him. Okay, turn number 3. The good guys have managed to get it again. So Gildor will kind of stay where he is, and the Hobbits will move up to kind of link up with him. So now the Hobbits have a fairly cool protector who will hopefully defend them from the wraiths. It's kind of dangerous. Okay, this wraith in sentry mode, he gets a 5, so he does get to move 3 inches, and he's going to go this way. So he's trying to skulk his way kind of diagonally, trying to catch up with the party of glorious adventurers before they get off the table. This guy needs to really start rolling some 6s, a 5. Needs to get to go 3 inches my way. And then this guy, if he makes a mess of it here, 3. So he goes 3 inches the wrong way. Okay, that's the end of another turn. Like I said, the party's moving fast. Although now that Gildor is linked up with the Hobbits, he's obviously stuck moving at their pace, which is only 4 inches. I'd say there's just over 12 inches between the Hobbits and the edge of the board. So the Ringwraiths really only have like 3 turns to kind of make it to them before they're off the board. Priority. Ooh, the Ringwraiths managed to get it again. Okay, we're gonna need some good dice rolls here. That's a 4, which is okay. That gives us 3 inches the correct way at least. So he's gonna march up that way. This lazy sod which still hasn't made it past the hedge. He still gets to go 3 inches the correct way. So he is hunting the wraiths, or hunting the Hobbits through the woods, which is kind of scary. This guy could do with a 6. A 2, he's gonna go 3 inches the wrong way again. So as you can see, there is this like menacing, can I get all of them in shot? That would be kind of cool. So hiding behind this tree. But there's basically Ringwraith, 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 all kind of moving in against the Hobbits, which is very menacing. So the Hobbits, like I said, will get a 4-inch move to move forward. So Gildor and the 4 Hobbits moving up once again, trying to avoid this guy. This Ringwraith could be a big problem. It looks like that if he even gets a 4+ and gets a couple of moves, and this is bad for them. Let's see what happens. Let's go for priority. It is a double 6. So for those people who do not know what happens in a situation where the priority is drawn in a game of Lord of the Rings, it goes to the player who didn't have priority last turn. So that means that the Hobbits and Gildor are going to move another 4 inches forward first, and then the wraiths will get to activate. So once again, this guy, he only rolled a 2, which basically means 3 inches the wrong way. So he's kind of bimbled through those trees there. Not ideal. And then we have these brave guys who once again will move 3 inches. He'll go to the other side of the woods because he's a wraith and he doesn't really care. And this one manages to roll 5, so 3 inches this way. Oh, so I think these 2 wraiths are not very likely to get involved in a fight or catch up with the Hobbits at all. But this one here still has the potential. So let's roll to see who gets to go first. The wraiths go first. Can he roll a decent dice and get to fight? He gets a 2. He once again, you know, under the guidance of the illustrious elf with his amazing kind of bushcraft and his ability to hide and conceal, he has managed to move the Hobbits in and amongst the brush and escape and throw the Ringwraith off, which means that this poor wraith is going to just move 3 inches through the woods the wrong way again. Not ideal for him. And yeah, so let's quickly move the other wraiths. So this guy, he gets a 5, goes 3 inches the correct way, so he moves over here. And this wraith here, he rolls a 6, so he gets to go full 6 inches over to here. And then we need to actually measure this properly now. So what is 4 inches for these guys? as they try and move towards the board edge. Yeah, so one more move and the good Hobbits and Gildor will make it off the table and have succeeded in their objective. So yeah, priority for next turn makes all the difference. Boom! The bad guys get it. Can this Ringwraith do anything useful? Nope. He rolls a 3. He bimbles off into the woods once again. He has not been able to catch up with these guys. And these last 2 sentries, 3 inches, wrong way. This guy, 3 inches, wrong way. So somehow the glorious Ringwraiths have kind of done a perimeter sweep of the woods, have managed to meet up into with each other, have reported that there is no sightings of the Hobbits and the elves. And with the last move of the kind of brave adventurers, Gildor will escort the Hobbits off the table, save them from the treachery of the woods, the dark and dangerous woods, and manage to stay away from the Ringwraiths. So yeah, pretty successful scenario for these guys. Yeah, the Hobbits win. They managed to get away unscathed. They all took wounds at the end of the last scenario, and they should have carried on through this one, but in the last scenario they get given an extra wound apiece to kind of deal with Gripfang and Wolf. So I just ignored it all and say they had full wounds coming into this one. So yeah, so that was the end of the scenario. Shortcuts make long delays. It is a success. Next week is, of course, Buckleberry Ferry, which will be a lot of fun. I'm going to be making some of the scenery and stuff for this. So I'm very excited to share that with you guys and play through that story. Obviously, the first few scenarios in this campaign are kind of autopilot ones. That's why I can play both sides, because like I said, the Ringwraiths are on sentry mode that time. The next one is the same kind of thing. Once I get into proper scenarios like Am and Hen, I will bring in a second person to actively play as my opponent and play through the scenario. So that's going to be a very cool time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that and you are looking forward to more videos from the glorious that is Middle-earth Monday. Hopefully you enjoyed the heroics of Gildor. He actually takes no more part in the story. That's all that model is ever designed for, to be played in that scenario, which is pretty cool. He's a beautiful, beautiful model. A big thank you to the Golden Shin, a good friend of mine, if you want to check him out on Instagram, who supplied me with this model because I could not find my one for love nor money. So he managed to get this guy to me so that I'd get him ready for today's scenario. So thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of this. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in next week's video.